Guys, we're here for the time that you guys are actually listening to me. Most of the time, you're probably going to say, fuck you, Aaron, I don't give a shit. But this is the time you might want to listen to me. We'll figure out in the next few weeks whether that's actually realistic or not. Here we go. It's Aaron's fucking picks of the week. Let's go. Alright, gentlemen and ladies, whoever's listening. I have written down my picks of the week, who I'm feeling, who I think is going to win this week, how you should look at it, and what you should do, okay? So we're going to start with some college, and then we're going to go straight to the NFL, okay? My first game of the week is Virginia Tech versus Virginia, okay? Now, I want to say this. When I talk about this shit, I'm not going to be like everyone else. I'm not going to bore you with all these statistics, telling you all these things, because you're going to get inside your head, and you're going to fuck with yourself, okay? You are going to say, like, oh, wow, Virginia Tech does better against the spread when they're on the road, but when they're on a fucking grass field, then it's a blah, blah, blah. Nobody gives a shit, okay? I listen to those people all the time because I like to get the insight on it, because I'm a fucking nerd like that, and I like to listen. But you guys don't want that. You want your picks so you can go. Do you want information? Yes. And I'll try to give you a little bit of information that'll make you feel better. So, Virginia Tech, basically, this is how I see it. I've seen Virginia play. They've looked absolutely incredible every time I've watched them. And it's in Virginia. I like the home team most times, and they're also the underdog. An underdog at home is the best bet you can make. It's at +3, which makes me feel good because then it's at -115 for the +3. What I'm telling you to do, I think you should just pick Virginia outright. I don't know exactly what the plus will be right now, how much you'll get for that, but Virginia has looked really good lately. And I think they are a team to beat right now. And I think they want to have a shot at Clemson. They will get their absolute asses handed to them by Clemson. But I know that they want a shot at them. So, I think this is their shot here. They're going to win a game here. And they're going to keep moving forward so they can get a shot at playing them. But like I said, with Virginia, it is +3. Something you don't know about me, but you are going to learn to know about me. I hate ties. I can't stand ties for all my goddamn life. So, if you ever see a full number with me, I'm always going to tell you to at least buy a half a point, because I can't stand ties. I would rather lose than tie. So, this is a +3, buy half a point. Get you that 3.5 points. You lose by a field goal, you still win. If you pick them straight up and they lose, well, go fuck yourself. I'm sorry I got that pick wrong. Next pick, Cincinnati +11 versus Memphis. Now, I absolutely adore Memphis. I do. I absolutely love them. A couple weeks back, I actually picked against them when they were playing SMU. It was +6.5, I believe. And I picked SMU to cover, and they barely covered on the very end, just scoring a bunch of random touchdowns that meant absolutely nothing except to my pockets, which ended up winning me $2,000. Now, I understand you're saying, are you just gloating to make yourself look good? Yes. But I'm also trying to show you and tell you that I have won. I use a site called mybookie.com. It's a great site, I think. This is not supposed to be some filler. This is not supposed to tell you to use mybookie.com. I don't give a shit what the fuck you use. You can use whatever site makes you feel best, but I use mybookie.com. It was the first site that came to my attention. I'm able to use it, so I go based off of their numbers. I will look at Westgate every now and again for this show, but I'm going to go based off of my bookie because that's what I've been using. Now, to tell you, I am not 100% perfect. Clearly, nobody the fuck is. And if somebody tells you that they're perfect in gambling, they're a goddamn lie, and they should go fuck themselves. For me, though, I'll tell you a little story about last week that had me enraged. For college football, I had an 8-game parlay going. 8-game parlay. If you don't know what a parlay is, it's when you have to get however many games you pick, you have to get every single one of them right before you get the payout. But because you have to get all 8, however many of them right, the payment is so much larger. See, my payment was for $6,000, and I got the first 7 games right. I was flying high. I was feeling good. I was like, I just need this last game to hit, and I fucking got it. I got $6,000. And to me, it was the easiest one to get. It was Oregon versus Arizona State. And now all of you behind the camera are shaking your heads like, oh, no, Aaron, you got fucked. Yeah, I did. I got fucked hard. I got absolutely hammered in my asshole. It was bad, okay? I was watching that game, and they were down 24-7. I wanted to rip my hair out. But at that point, I accepted it. I was like, oh, they're going to lose. It's fine. But then they did something special. They were the little engine that could, and they stormed back to make it 24-21. Then they forced Arizona State to 3rd and 16. They could have stopped it. I was like, my boys are back in it. You know what happened next? Arizona State threw an 81-yard touchdown, and my hopes were slashed. Just like I wanted to slash my wrists. I don't condone that, though. Please don't do that. I don't want to get sued. Anyways, that hurt me. But I would have made that decision no matter what. You know what I'm saying? I didn't feel bad about it because I would have made that decision no matter what. Now, the following bet that I made the very next day, that's the one that wanted me to get a 12 gauge and put it to my head. But I'll tell you about that when the NFL picks come around. Anyways, like I was saying about Cincinnati and Memphis, the point spread is 11. Cincinnati is a good team. They're on par with SMU. They're on par with Navy. They're on par with Memphis. It is in Memphis. I agree with that. Cincinnati is on SMU's level, and they got it to within 6. I think Cincinnati has a better defense than SMU, much better defense. They are going to keep this a close game. So I think 11 points is just too much. So if I am you, obviously I'm going to pick Memphis straight up at home. Like, they are a hot team right now. They're at home. They're almost impossible to beat at home. Pick Memphis straight up. It's probably not going to be a ton. It'll probably be like minus 500, minus 600. But if you factor that into a parlay, it will create the level, making it much, much higher. And that is what you want, because then you feel like you got a sure win, but you also get a lot of points for it. But right now, pick the points in Cincinnati just to be safe. Pick that half point just so you don't get screwed and get a tie. You know what I'm saying? Next game. I've got Georgia versus Georgia Tech. Now, here's the thing with me. Georgia is an incredible football team on defense. Their defense is absolutely astounding. Their offense, I feel like some 8th graders could probably be on par with them because their offense has looked atrocious. Their defense, though, might be top 5 in the country, if not top 3, maybe even the best. They have looked absolutely astounding. But when you can't score at a single point in the first half against Kentucky football, and I know them because they're my team, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. Their defense is absolutely astounding, though. And I've been watching the team that they're playing this week, Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech has been, let's say not great, because they're like 2-8, 2-9, but they cover. They cover almost every time, it feels like. They get their ass handed to them sometimes, they do, but they still cover somehow. Last week, they were the underdogs to North Carolina State. I picked Georgia Tech to win straight up. They did. And I felt good about that when I did it. I didn't bet a ton on it, but, you know, it is what it is. Also, by the way, to make you guys feel better maybe about me, you can say bullshit all you want to it, but it's the truth. When that Duke game happened yesterday and I went on to my betting site, I didn't bet on it because I'm a scared little bitch and I just didn't decide to bet anything on it. But when I went to look and I saw SF Austin, I said, SF Austin will upset Duke. They will. Now, whether that was me just fucking with me and just kind of like being a little like weak-minded and just saying like, they're going to beat them and whatever, I still said it. And in my mind, I did believe it because if it happened, it happened. If they lost, I just looked like a jackass. But they did. I can take picks like that because I know SF Austin is an upset team. I do picks like that, and it worked out for me. Yesterday, I think I went 13 of 14 on my picks. I even picked the 2 college games that were correct. I picked Ohio to absolutely obliterate Akron, and then I also picked Northern Illinois to upset Western Michigan, despite Western Michigan being 3 games better than them. I did that. I was 13 of 14. The only game I got wrong was Auburn. I thought they were going to be a closer game with Richmond, but Richmond got their asses handed to them. But that's fine. If you're over 55%, you're winning. My goal on this show for you people is to be over 75%. And if I can do that for you, I'm looking hella good. Just saying. If I'm not, then you can go fuck yourself, Aaron, because you're a piece of shit. And I will understand completely. Back to the Georgia Tech thing, though, is Georgia Tech keeps it a close game, especially since this is going to be an in-state rivalry, and this is a rivalry that they play every single year. Georgia Tech's going to get up a little more to keep it a close game. That doesn't mean that Georgia's going to beat the hell out of them. I think they will, but I still think they keep it within 28 points. And as always, by that half point so you don't tie. Ohio State versus Michigan. Classic game. It's going to be a hell of a fight here. I'm here in Michigan, so we're going to be hearing about it all fucking weekend. Whether Michigan wins, whether they lose. But this would be the time that Jim Harbaugh finally beats Ohio State when it really doesn't matter. Because Michigan can't go anywhere. They can't go to the playoffs. Ohio State's probably already in the playoffs. They've already clinched the Big Ten. Even if they lose, they still go to the Big Ten championship game. They'll make an appearance there. They'll beat the hell out of Minnesota or Wisconsin, whoever they play, and they'll be firmly into the playoff. This is the kind of game that Harbaugh would win. The one that finally doesn't matter. But you know what? Ohio State absolutely hates Michigan. Hates them to a core. And they are going to say, you know what? No. Urban, he left this instilled in us that we are going to embarrass Harbaugh every time we play him, and that's what they're going to do this week. And after the way Michigan's been playing, of course, they're going to give him a little bit less points. So right now the game's at -9 the last time I checked. Ohio State's going to run in there and say, we know we kept it a close game with Penn State, but we probably could have blew them out, and it was not going to even be close. This is in Michigan, and we're going to embarrass Michigan in front of their fans. I believe Ohio State's going to do that. I don't know about embarrass, but they'll win by more than 2 touchdowns. I guarantee you that. The safe pick is always Ohio State. I know they haven't covered the last 2 weeks, but Ohio State's Ohio State and one of the best in the country. They, more times than not, are going to cover, and they are going to make yourself look good in your bets, whether you want to add them in the parlay or just have them straight up. It's completely up to you. Fine either way. Like I said, it's a full 9 points. Buy that half point so you feel good. Clemson versus South Carolina. Now, this is basically all I'm going off of. South Carolina has only looked good against Georgia this year. They upset them. Other than that, they have been absolutely slaughtered in the SEC. And I remember when Wake Forest played Clemson. Wake Forest was ranked 24 at the time. They actually looked pretty good. And Clemson still won by like 40. Yes, South Carolina's from the SEC, but they're not a good team. And I don't think they're going to win in the slightest. I think it'll be worse than Wake Forest. I'd say South Carolina probably gets beat down about 35-40, somewhere in there. And Clemson will easily cover this. And like I said, as always, it's a full 9-27 by a half point. Thank you. Wisconsin versus Minnesota. Finally, some picks that I'm happy to talk about. Wisconsin, Minnesota. I hate Wisconsin. I really, really do. My boys from Illinois beat them, so that was pretty cool. That was my big claim to fame a couple weeks ago. I picked Illinois to upset Michigan State at plus 550. Put a lot of money on it, so I got a lot of money in return. That was my day when I made over $4,000, $5,000 on my bookie. It was pretty nice. Now, don't bet it all the next day, because that's what I did, and I lost a lot. But you see what I'm coming from. Here's the thing. Minnesota's a different team at home, just like a lot of teams are different at home. Like Iowa's different at home. Iowa's able to beat Minnesota at home. Minnesota's able to beat Penn State at their home. They are a different team at home. And Wisconsin has been falling down lately. They lost to Illinois. They got their ass handed to them by Ohio State. And they've kind of just looked okay against these teams. They barely beat Iowa. Iowa's a good team, but they are not on Wisconsin, Minnesota's level, I don't believe. I know Iowa beat Minnesota, but when Iowa's at home, they're a different animal. They are. Wisconsin was home when Iowa came close to beating them, but it was 24-22. Minnesota is a better team. They look better. They are a great team. They beat the hell out of Northwestern, and I don't think they're going to beat the hell out of Wisconsin, but I think they're going to get the upset here at home. They're not going to let their fans down again. They just lost a couple weeks ago. They want to go to their first Big Ten in quite some championship game in quite some time. Now they'll probably get their ass absolutely pounded by Ohio State, but they want to get there and have that on the resume that they were there. They were there most recently. And to be fair, everyone's probably just more tired of Wisconsin being there over and over again. So, right now it's at, last time I checked, plus 2.5 for Minnesota. That's pretty good. If you want to feel good about yourself, just buy that half point. Not half point, that full point, so you can get the 3.5 just in case it's a field goal, just in case Wisconsin does win. But I'm telling you, I feel confident with Minnesota. I think they're the better team right now, and I think that you can't run on them like Wisconsin's been able to run all day with everyone else. Minnesota's going to get this win, and you're going to get some positive points out of it. It's probably still only going to be like plus 180, something like that, but any plus automatically makes those parlays shoot way up. Or even the round robins. If you don't know what a round robin is, please look it up in the dictionary because I don't feel like explaining myself. Maybe on a better day. Indiana versus Purdue is another game I like. Also, by the way, pick Minnesota straight up if I didn't say that already. But Indiana Purdue is another game I like. Indiana, although they got beat up on by Michigan last week, Michigan's been hot. Indiana's been a good team. They were ranked for that time being, and they're only giving Indiana 6.5 points. 6.5 points, less than a touchdown against Purdue. Purdue is not a good football team in the slightest. Okay. You want to take Indiana. You easily want to take Indiana. At 6.5 points, you're already golden. Most people would say, well, let's give me that touchdown. You're already given less than a touchdown. It should be an easy decision. Pick Indiana, especially since it's less than a touchdown, the straight up will also be a lot. It'll probably be like minus 200 something. Use that in a parlay. You'll make a lot of money in the end. So Indiana, minus 6.5, book it. Speaking of Wake Forest from that Clemson game, Wake Forest is playing Syracuse this week, and I know Syracuse just beat up on Duke, but this isn't basketball. This is Duke football. Nobody gives a fucking shit, okay? Syracuse also, just like it, not basketball. Nobody gives a fucking shit, okay? Wake Forest used to be good at basketball. Now they're kind of transferring over to football, but still, really nobody gives a shit about them. Nobody gives a shit about this game. That's just the truth of the matter. But Wake Forest is a good team. They used to be ranked, and they're only being given -4. So this is what I say. Buy that half point just to feel safe. You can just do it straight up if you want. Pick Wake Forest straight up also. You can get some minus points from that. You'll probably get like I'm going to say -200 something. But pick Wake Forest. It should be pretty easy at -4. They're going to feel really good about the pick. Hell, you can buy -1.5 if you want, just so you can feel safe about that field goal. You shouldn't have to, though. Wake Forest is going to pound Syracuse, and they're going to win this game easily, okay? So pick the -4 with them, okay? Rutgers, oh my god, my personal favorite of a team. Holy shit, I love these guys. Covered against Ohio State a couple weeks ago. Really fucked me, because I picked Ohio State to cover, because they always cover. 52 points, probably wasn't the smartest decision in the world, but Ohio State had covered all year, so I did it. This is 40.5 points against Penn State. It's in Penn State. The other one was in Ohio State, and they actually were within 35. That sounds horrible, but they were actually within 35 against Ohio State. Ohio State just beat Penn State. This is where literally all my information is coming from at this point. Hell, you can do a teaser with them, get that +6 points. If you don't know what a teaser is you get a bunch of games together, and it just puts +6 on every single thing you pick. So you'll win less money, but you have a lot better odds of winning. But yeah, I think Rutgers will have a shot to stay within. If they were able to stay within 35 of Ohio State, they have a chance to stay within 40.5 on Penn State. If you want to feel safe, buy 2 points on them so you're at 42.5 so they can score all those touchdowns all the way up, okay? That's how I feel. Alabama, Auburn. Okay, see, this is the only game on here I don't really have a pick. I just wanted to talk about it because it's like kind of the game of the week. Boy, Alabama just didn't look like they were in trouble without Tua. Then again, they were playing Western Carolina, so nobody really cared. But they just didn't look in trouble. And Mac Jones doesn't look like they're missing a step. And also, the running backs just run at will. Although Auburn is a ferocious beast up the middle. It's hard to run on them. But this is how I see Auburn. They stay close in every single game, but they end up losing to the superior teams of Georgia, LSU. Well, they were able to beat Oregon, but we've learned that Oregon's not that great. So they will lose to Alabama. If you want to feel safe, buy that point so you get it to 2.5 so Alabama can just win by that field goal. But I think they will end up winning by more. I say they win by just a little over touchdown, maybe 8 or 9 points, maybe 10, But I say Alabama is the pick here, but I'm a little more wary about it, so don't take my word on that one, but pick however you're feeling, okay? -3.5. Tulane, SMU, the classic battle. SMU set them very high on this team. Tulane looked not amazing the last few weeks. And SMU is just an offensive juggernaut. They will score the points. It's only -3.5. I think SMU is going to get this one, especially at home. If you want to feel safe, buy that point. Who gives a shit? I'll probably buy the point just to feel safe. But SMU they're good. They are going to win this. They're going to feel good about themselves. They just lost to Navy last week. In Navy, they're probably pissed off that they are starting to fall lower in the standings, and they're going to want to come back and seek some revenge. They're going to win this game. I guarantee you that. Guarantee it. All right? Notre Dame versus Stanford. Stanford is on their third-string quarterback, I'm pretty sure still. I don't know if Costello's back, to be honest, because who the fuck gives a shit about Pac12 football anymore besides Utah? But Stanford sucks. All right, Notre Dame is finally starting to look good. They look good against Navy. They blew them out. They looked amazing against Boston College. After they got blown out by Michigan, they are starting to blow out other teams, and that's what you want to see. Only 16.5 against a team on their probably second or third string quarterback. I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that every time. I'm going to take the 16.5 easily. Notre Dame is clearly pissed off after a couple weeks ago, and they're just going to keep on playing. They're just going to keep on drubbing. They're going to keep on winning, okay? So Notre Dame -16.5, book it. This is my up-in-the-air game. It's Iowa State -5.5 versus Kansas State. It's a fun game because Iowa State never seems to want to blow out anybody, but they always want to play close. They always want to be within 7 points of everybody. Here's my bugaboo with it is Kansas State has not looked amazing recently. Especially, I think Skylar Johnson got hurt a couple weeks ago and he just hasn't looked the same since. Iowa State loves to keep the games close. Like I said, they were able to keep it within 1 against Oklahoma. We'll get to them in a second. But Iowa State is also an amazing football team. And they just seem to fight and fight and fight. And they just beat Texas 2 weeks ago by just a little field goal. But they just look good while they're doing it, but barely winning it. And I don't know what it is about them. But Kansas State does not look great. They don't look like the same team that beat Oklahoma a few weeks ago. Texas Tech, who's not a great football team, they barely beat. They only beat them 30-27. So you could really go either way. I might stay away from this game. I like Iowa State's side of it at 5.5 a little more. Maybe buy the points. Hell, I might buy 3 points for all I care, just so I can keep that 3-point margin down. If you're looking for the bigger parlays, if you want some more points, don't risk all your money you have on Kansas State or Iowa State for that matter. But this is a real game you can kind of go either way. I'm leaning towards Iowa State, but if you're looking for that big parlay payout, maybe add Kansas State in one of your smaller bets, putting money in bets, I should say, so you can feel a little better, possibly get some real big money out of it. But I would go with Iowa State at -5.5 right now. Before we get to our final big pick of the week here in college football, we're going to finish off with the only good team left in the Pac-12 because Oregon's a fucking bag of dicks. Colorado versus Utah. I don't remember the exact score last week, but Utah slaughtered Arizona by quite a big margin. And I believe Arizona's on that level with Colorado, although they beat Washington last week. Utah, it's only -28.5. I might tell you to buy that 1 point so you can get it within 4 touchdowns. But their defense is probably the most legit defense I've seen in all of college football this year. Their defense looks like an NFL-style defense with how good they play, with how hard they play. Now watch me say that, and they'll go out there and they'll win by 3, and I'll want to blow my goddamn brains out. But they look so good on defense right now. I'm high on them. I'm high on the Utes. Go with the Utah Utes, and you're going to feel really good about yourself, okay? Finally, with my game of the week, which is probably going to be here in my first week, make me look like a fucking idiot. But I'm going to go with it because, god damn it, I love this pick. Oklahoma State, upset of the week. You know it. Let's go OK State. I'm telling you why right here. Oklahoma has looked fucking awful these last few weeks. They beat TCU barely by 4 last week. They had to come back from 28-3 down against Baylor. Impressive. It is. But they're going to lose this week. Even if they don't lose, if they somehow win, it's still -13 on Oklahoma State. How is it -13 on a team who's in the top 25, the top 20 for that matter? How are you and it's in Oklahoma State. It just doesn't make sense to me why the spread is this high. You easily pick Oklahoma State here, and I'm so high to say that you picked them straight up. At this point, at -13, Oklahoma State will probably be +300, +400. The value is incredible. Put them in a parlay with some lesser teams, even at -500, 600, 400. If you have that one big parlay in there, when you bring it all together, it averages out, and the fucking parlay will shoot through the roofs. You will make thousands on a $50 or $100 bet, and I know that's what I'm definitely doing this week. So when you do it, please remember Aaron. Unless they fucking lose, I'm sorry, and I'm just gonna go kill myself, okay? Alright? Like that plan, or I just won't come back next week. That too. It's a possibility. But yeah, that is my game of the week. OK State is just looked absolutely incredible. I've been on them for the last few weeks, and they have not let me down, okay? Those were my 15 games of the week, guys. When we come back, we're going to be talking about NFL, which is my favorite thing to talk about. But we're going to have a lot of fun. All right? So stay tuned.